We've pushed you over the edge, Chris.
On the dark side.
Play hard with these things.
Luke Skywalker. I'm an asshole, just so everybody knows. Well, welcome to Force Connect, the only live Star Wars Friday night call-in talk show thing on the internet, I think. I don't know, but it feels like it. Hi, my name is Pete Fletcher. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with my buddy Nick. Milky Nick, how's life, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm honestly really glad that you had the opening introduction part of the show, because as I was hearing the words come out of your mouth, and as I was doing my version in my head, I 100% would have said, hey, and welcome to Streaming Star Wars. So
see,
I would have gotten it
we're
wrong
having
right
trouble
off the bat.
getting through that yet, but we
It's
are
the
the
end of the week.
SSW Network. It's okay. It's all right.
Yep.
It has been a week. It has been a quite an interesting and long week, but we've made it through it. It's Friday night. We've got a new look to the screen here, and you're gonna notice down in the lower right hand corner. During Pride Month, there a friend of the show's, a woman named Sawyerism, online. She is running something called Galaxy of Pride, and it is it's a fundraiser for something called the Trevor Project, which is there to support and help prevent suicide in queer kids going through all, everything that goes with dealing with being a kid to begin with, and then having to deal with trying to identify yourself and trying to get comfortable with yourself. So the Trevor Project, the program is called Galaxy of Pride. Sawyer is doing it, and that little QR code in the lower right hand corner, just scan it and donate a couple of bucks if you're up to it, if you feel like it, if it's your thing. No pressure if you don't, but that's the easiest way to do it. And Nick, we were going to do some sort of game around this tonight.
I was going to say, it would not be a Friday night Force Connect kind of opportunity if we didn't somehow involve our, love for having a drink, talking Star Wars.
Right.
So what we've decided is, because we're going to mention the link throughout the show tonight, encourage everybody who's watching to donate. Anytime we mention clicking on the link to donate to the Trevor Project, we're just going to make a drinking game out of it, and we're going to take a drink. So you have already mentioned it once, so drinks to that.
There we go. That's that. Yeah. So we tend to do housekeeping at this point of the show. So look, I'm not gonna be honest. I literally sat down and was like, all right, play, let's go, let's do this. It's been a hell of a crazy week, but everything is good. Everything is positive. The SSW Network, that is what we are a part of. You get this show, you get Around the Galaxy, you get Podcast The Whills. We get the opportunity to be, if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to be part of the family, if you want to have access to the live show, or not the live show, you all have access to the live show, but when we record with our guests, like we just did with W. Earl Brown last week, that show is going to drop next week in the podcast feed. Amazing show at patreon.com/the SSW Network. For as little as $3 a month, you can be part of those things, and you'll also get mailers and things sent to you every now and again. You can also go to our social media channels at the SSW Network. You can find us everywhere, and of course our merch shop, which is sswnetworkshop.com. I think I got all that stuff in. How are you doing, Nick? I came in, I started rambling, I started going fast. What's new in your world this week? How are you feeling about the Star Wars world that we spend too much time?
We come into this every week, and I feel like, to ring a bell that we've rung every other time. I'm feeling good. There's so much fun Star Wars on the horizon. It's also, hard not to be excited about Indiana Jones right now. We've got the premiere of Dial of Destiny coming in just a couple of short weeks. I'm trying to get my staff of Ra turned back on there. So it's hard not to be excited about Indy for sure, but Star Wars. We have Star Wars new stuff. We got new stuff about Ahsoka this week, which I know we're going to get into as kind of the meat of the show tonight. But we've also still got Skeleton Crew on the horizon. We've got the Acolyte on the horizon. We've got more Andor coming. There's so much that's right in front of us that, as we say more times than we should count, and this should probably be another one of our drinking games, we are being fed just a wealth of Star Wars content, and it feels good.
It's wild. I mean, it really is like, there's it strikes me very strange when people find things to complain about. I mean, when you have so much content coming, you have so much coming down the pike. Look, and that's the thing about this show. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this show is always an opportunity to have a conversation about Star Wars. You don't have to love everything. Look, I have issues with Rise of Skywalker. I haven't had the chance to go into them because I'm a little bit afraid of the backlash, to be honest. No, I mean, I've mentioned that you don't have to love everything. And honestly, if you do love everything, there's no way you're being realistic. There's so much stuff out there. So, but tonight we are going to spend some time talking a bit about the Ahsoka show, which is coming, as we got another short trailer. And we got some more images from Empire Magazine, which we're going to kind of go through and overthink about and speculate on. And we're going to want your calls as well at the end of the show. We're going to take your calls. But Nick, if you don't mind, I'll do the toast tonight if you're cool with that.
I would love for you to do the toast tonight.
I know you were home alone all week, which is pretty amazing. We were talking earlier today, like, as an adult, if your wife and kids go away for even a day, look, we love them. We do. But
yes,
a little bit of silence, a little bit of calm. It's nice, right? So tonight I'm going to do the toast to somebody who's not watching the show tonight. I don't know that she's not watching the show. She probably is not watching the show, but I know her husband does. It's my mother's 75th birthday today.
Ooh.
On June 9th. She was born, and the thing that's worth talking about is I remember as a kid, she was not a nerd. She was not into the same nerdy stuff that my dad was and the stuff that got me into it. But now she's like as big a nerd as they come. She used to, when they had the science fiction horror trivia game that I used to write for years ago, she used to do cosplay. Like, she got all into it. And I think that's really cool that she kind of pivoted and was like, you know what? This nerd stuff is what my husband's into. It's what my son's into. I'm gonna live it. I'm gonna do it. And I am just so proud of just her and the family she's raised. So I'm gonna raise a glass to not just my mother, but maybe all mothers. How's that?
Absolutely.
There we go. Happy Star Wars.
I know this will come as a shock to you, Pete. But
yeah.
Your mother's story and my mother's story follow very similar paths in that, she was around Star Wars and sci-fi because she was married to my dad, because she had me, she had my siblings who have all of our own varying degrees of nerdiness. But she certainly, over the last few years since The Mandalorian has come out, and I've said this many times on the show, and it's the genius of Star Wars, it's the genius of the marketing, but also what we sometimes forget, being the deep cover, Star Wars nerds that we are, is that's who Star Wars is for our moms and for our siblings who don't have a podcast and for all the other people in our lives. And so when Mandalorian dropped, she was like, I need a Baby Yoda. Like, she wanted a Baby Yoda for Christmas. I don't know that she could identify the names of the other characters in the show, but that didn't matter because she connected with that one character. And now they watch it together, and they call me sometime on Wednesday morning to go, what did you think about the episode? And I'm on speakerphone hashing it out with my parents every week. So
and it's so I love that you're saying that, because it is important to remember. And I think we do forget it when we're on Twitter and we're arguing over, bombing runs in space. And, well, of course, Luke how did he know that he was going to be caught by Jabba and put the Sarlacc pit and give his lightsaber to R2? It's faking in space. It's fun. And it really is for everyone. And honestly, I think sometimes we might not deserve it, right? Because we get so deep into this stuff. It just doesn't.
A reminder that we should probably watch more Star Wars like our moms.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And our dads and our kids who just don't
Yep.
you know, yeah, that's exactly it. It's thinking about Star Wars from a slightly different perspective sometimes, and a little bit more taking a step back. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, speaking of taking a step back, let's do one more drink. Remember, we have the you see the little donate QR code in the lower right hand corner. If you're up to it, we are supporting our friend Sawyer's what is it, Galaxy of Pride, which is a fundraiser raising money for the Trevor Project, which supports queer teens and helps them to prevent suicide. So, and of course, every time we say it, you got to take a drink. So there we go.
And I'm
Please
just going to
consider.
say,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, donate and drink responsibly. I hope you're home safely. You're not watching this on your phone, taking drinks while you're donating.
Right. While you're driving.
Don't drink and drive. You
On
can
your
donate and
phone.
drive.
Like,
Donate and drive. I'm fine with that. Don't drink and drive. But when you're in the safety of your own home, what's more fun than getting drunk for a good cause? So I'm saying, let's go all in tonight. Let's talk about the Trevor Project. I just said it again. So I'm
oh,
taking
there
a
we
big
go.
drink.
Here we go. More to drink.
And let's help out what is truly an excellent cause. As Pete said, the Trevor Project focuses on working with suicide prevention for teens and young people who are in the queer community, dealing with all that life throws at them, the difficulties of this world, growing up, learning your identity, living into your identity, and not being embraced by a lot of the world is incredibly difficult. So the struggles with mental health, the struggles with suicide, all those kinds of things, the Trevor Project does great work to help with that. So truly a worthwhile cause, and we are proud to support that and support all of our friends and allies, or all of our friends in the LGBTQ plus community. We want to lift that up. So Trevor Project, donate.
Check it out. There we go. I'm not going to make it to the first commercial break at this rate. So I'm going to go to the first commercial break.
That's
and when
right.
we come
We better
back,
get there now.
we're going to dig into all the Ahsoka stuff that came out this week, and probably speculate slightly irresponsibly. So we'll be right back in 1 minute with more Force Connect. And we are back on Force Connect, part of the SSW Network, the only live Star Wars fan talk show that takes your calls every Friday night, 9:00 Eastern time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining us on. If you're in the Northeast and you're dealing with the smog, man, I'll tell you, I have not. I've never seen anything like it before. The sky was orange here up in New Jersey. I have friends with Becca Benjamin, who's up in state New York. She's dealing with the fog of the fires and whatnot. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining us. We did get some Ahsoka news this week. I think the first piece of news to talk about is the release date. We finally have it. I was betting August 30th. That was the date that I was going with because I figured they said August. They were going to go late August. And they dropped it. They're going to drop it August 23rd, which is pretty exciting, man. Like, it's like a nice little countdown. We have something concrete now to look forward to. Of all the series that are coming out, Nick, where does Ahsoka kind of fall for you?
It's at the top.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's super surprising. I gush anytime I get close enough to a microphone about how much I love Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
And especially for how the impact that it had on me, as I say all the time, to not have been the target demo for that show. As an adult, as somebody who was not, it was a cartoon. It was on
Right.
Disney Junior, maybe, or Disney XD, I think. Anyhow, whatever it was on. And when I discovered it, I was grown, I was married, I was out of college. I may have even had kids at that point. I don't know. But it wasn't.
Communications disruption can mean only one thing: invasion.
Didn't mean to cut you off, Nick, but we had a communications disruption. Our buddy
This
Chris
is an
here.
invasion I'm always glad to be interrupted for.
What's up, buddy? Chris. Welcome.
What's going on? What's going on, guys?
Just getting started, my friend.
I love this because last time I saw Chris, it was in person.
Yeah.
I was actually able to end a Force Connect with a hug of my man, Chris. It was wild. We got together. We were at Philly Fan Expo last week. We saw Brian Fennessy there. He was with us, one of our patrons. We saw Keith and Kerwin.
Yep.
They were there. Fathers on Galaxy, and a couple other people who we knew, or at least through Twitter, said hello, and it was great. So
that was a really good time, and that was a really cool crowd. Like, it was more than either of us were expecting.
This is true.
And we had to do we have to turn people away as far as questions go at the very end?
Yeah, we had like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
we had 4 or 5 people still in line waiting to ask questions by the time it ended, which was wild. I mean, literally, Chris and I going into it, we're like, yep, my parents and my son are here, so that's 3 people, and I saw Brian, so we know him and his daughter, so we'll get 5 people. Yeah, and honestly, there must have been 50, 60 people in the room, and in all, not to toot our own horns, but I'm gonna, it was hard to find this room. It was like way at the edge of the place. And so for anybody who's discovering us for the first time as a result of joining us, welcome, and thanks for hanging out, and thanks for joining us on last Sunday. Had a great conversation, and that conversation is actually in the podcast feed right now if you want to hear the terrible audio, but at least it was a fun conversation.
Yeah, I love that there were like so many, like we were talking about, growing up Star Wars and so many different generations of Star Wars fans, and then they all were like pretty much in that room, and were able to talk to us. So I thought that was fantastic, man.
Yeah, it was so cool, and I kind of proved our point. We were the point of the conversation was that Star Wars, started with Gen X. You got boomers who introduced Gen X to Star Wars. You got millennials, you got Gen Z, and you have whatever's coming after Gen Z, whatever they're calling it now. But they were all there. They were all in the room.
Alpha, I think they're called.
Alpha, is that what they're calling it? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, the ego is going to be on them with that name.
Oh man. So Chris, we were talking when you joined us about the upcoming Ahsoka series, and how excited we are for it. And Nick, I don't know if you got through your point before I cut you off with the video, but
well, for the most part, I did. That is the thing I'm most excited for. What I wanted to do, and I had kind of put this in our show notes, but I know we were all kind of running a little bit behind. In this first block, we wanted to talk about Ahsoka coming up. I was going to throw it to Chris first of all for a little bit. Chris is kind of our lore master. If you're just watching the show for the first time, if maybe you were at Philly Fan Expo last weekend and found Pete and Chris and are tuning in tonight, welcome. We're glad you're here. Chris to me is our lore master. He's the comics guy, the books guy. Pete and I are famously illiterate. But what I wanted to do, just kind of quickly to throw it out to set it up, in case somebody's not super familiar with Ahsoka. We talked about moms at the top of the show. Give us kind of a quick recap, Chris, of who Ahsoka is, where she came from, and how we get to where we are right now.
Well, watch Tales of the Jedi.
The end. All right. Well, thanks, Chris. That was really insightful.
Glad you showed up.
Ahsoka, who here doesn't know, but Ahsoka is was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. She was not well received at first, and I'm taking that lightly because I was one of them. I was like,
guilty as charged.
R2, like, that's stupid. I was one of them. But she is a character that we've seen grow up right before our eyes, and yeah, she's a very, very special character. Like, she may have started out rough, but she has, like, there's a whole generation of fans. Like she is their Han, Luke, or Leia.
Right.
And I think that's just it's great. So we've seen her through the Clone Wars. We've seen her through Order 66 and what that did to her. We've seen her through Rebels. We got to see her in in the Rebels. She was like, she's no longer a Jedi. She had left the Jedi Order um, right before, maybe I don't know the timeline when she left and when everything went down for Revenge of the Sith, but she gave up the ways of the Jedi and just became her own person, her own not so much a Jedi or a Sith or anything like that, just her own thing, and made her way in the galaxy. Order 66 happened. She goes into hiding. She becomes a part of the Rebel Alliance by being a fulcrum to recruit people into these rebel cells to fight against the Empire. We see her in the Mandalorian later on after everything's the original trilogy is over and all that stuff, and the Empire has fallen, and we get to see what kind of a powerful, stoic Jedi, if you want to say it, Jedi Master,
Right.
become. If I had to give it any kind of label, generic label, but yeah, Jedi Master that she's become. And I'm really excited for this Ahsoka series to further her adventures and to further the adventures of the Rebels crew. Sam's my favorite character, Kanan.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah, the interesting thing, and I think a lot of people may not be aware of this, and it's interesting to hear how Dave Filoni talks a little bit about it, is she, and to sort of back up what you were saying there, she was introduced in the Clone Wars animated movie in, what was that, 2005, I think it was? No, it was like 2008.
2008, I think. Yeah.
And she was sort of a preteen little, what's the race called? Why can't I think of it? Togruta. Orange skin, bare midriff, like kind of slightly inappropriate, snappy. She called Anakin Skywalker Sky Guy. And to your point, Chris, and you, Nick, I think one of the reasons I didn't go to see the Clone Wars film in theaters when it was first released was because I saw that and I was like, oh man, this is not what I want. And now, I mean, I've gone so far as to my only Star Wars tattoo is like the Ahsoka Fulcrum logo on my arm.
Yeah.
That's how much this character has come to be loved by the fans who've been around forever. And I think and again, not gatekeeping at all, I think what the challenge is, and maybe we can talk a little bit about this before we get into some of the details after the next break, but how does Lucasfilm make sure that this show is accessible to the average fan? Because look, and I've said it before, and I don't think I'm wrong, the average fan has not watched any of the animation. Again, I go back to my dad, who loves going to the movies. He's a big fan of all the live action shows. Hasn't watched a second of Clone Wars or Rebels or Resistance. How do they make sure that Ahsoka's story is as powerful as it is for the people who aren't necessarily, animation fans?
Like, I think if I were to come right out of never seeing the Clone Wars or anything like that, and like seeing her in the Mandalorian show, I'd wonder, like, where does she come from? That sort of thing. We don't get a bunch of her backstory, but she's put in a way where you can start. Like I always say, you can start off with what you see in the Mandalorian, and that could be your introduction,
right,
to Ahsoka. Like I said, with Star Wars, you can start anywhere, and you're off to the races. But I think it, it's put there so that people can see this character, see how cool she is, see how, her awesome saber work, and see how, she's, toe to toe with Mando, or even, better, than, and wonder where she comes from. And then maybe that could be something that gets them into the animation,
So let me throw this at both of you and see what you think. This is a brand new series. It is Ahsoka. It's not titled as Rebels, so it's not, we'll talk later about, is this Rebels season 5, which, it feels very much like it could be. But it's a brand new series. So we're setting up, and this is something that Disney does. And when I say Disney, I mean Lucasfilm, really. bringing in audiences, recognizing that their target audience is not the three of us and the other, 1 million Star Wars fans who are nerds like us. It's the other 100 million Star Wars fans who are like our parents and our siblings and those people. But we got something interesting last year when we got the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that we have not gotten really in any other Star Wars. And for that very first episode, and of course, we all got to see it live in Anaheim at Celebration at the premiere, but we got a recap. We got like a 2-minute recap that opened the first episode of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that took us through a very quick journey, for the most part of Obi-Wan.
That was like 5 minutes.
Was it longer than? Okay. Was it longer than 2? It was it was big. And it was one of these things like you're watching it going, I've seen all this. Like I was thinking I've seen all this, but it was probably very helpful to my dad who watched those prequel movies, but doesn't rewatch them like I do.
Right.
So I throw to you, does the first episode of Ahsoka open with, and it would be different because we're going to get mixed media. You're going to get animation and live action because we've gotten Mando and Book of Boba Fett. But do we get, including Tales of the Jedi, Clone Wars, Rebels, those 2 live action series, some sort of opening recap that maybe ends with her showing up to Sabine as the end of Rebels, translating over to the shot by shot transition from animation to live action of that?
I have a thought on that. I think because the animation style between Rebels and Clone Wars is similar, different but similar. I think you get an all animated recap, and I think it ends with Sabine standing in front of the mural, because we know that the mural at the end of Rebels. So if you haven't seen Rebels, first of all, we won't. Well, I was going to say we won't spoil it, but we will. Rebels ends with Sabine speaking through a little bit of a recap of, or not an epilogue, saying where everybody ended up after the Battle of Endor, and she ends in front of this mural that she painted. Sabine is an artsy. She's a painter. She's very driven by art. She's a Mandalorian. She ends up in front of a mural that she painted of the Rebels crew, and then turns around, and Ahsoka is waiting for her, saying, they have another mission or something along those lines. I know I misquoted it, so please don't disown me. I'll send in my Star Wars card. But I think it will end with that. I think the recap will end with that and begin right with that, because the shot, I have it right here. This shot that we've seen in the in the trailer is essentially the same shot. That's Ahsoka's ship coming in with some X-Wings. That's essentially the same shot that we got in animation at the end of Rebels. So I think there's a good chance that they go that route. So,
Chris, what about you? Do we get a recap?
Yeah, and if I were doing this show, I would have all those I would have live action versions of all those animated clips in there, and that means casting a young Ahsoka, that sort of thing, for this recap. That recap, I'll tell you, like the Obi-Wan recap, when we all watched that at Celebration. I don't know, but like I know, like Nick, you were saying, like it's old news. I've seen all this before, that sort of thing, and yeah, that is absolutely true. But something about the way that was shot, something about the way that was cut together. It was almost like watching Anakin's story for the first time from a different angle,
a certain point of view, maybe.
Because it's like you see, like I looked at him as a problem child through this whole thing, because that he's going to show up in this show and he's going to be Obi-Wan's opposition, and to see like these two were close. Something terrible happened, and something bad happened with Anakin, and something that turned him. But you see, like through that whole 5-minute thing, or 5-minute thing, you see all the building blocks of Anakin's fall happen until the end of that recap. So I hope that we get something like that for Ahsoka. And yeah, it would be so dope if they look, I'll take the live action stuff, and then they could have like a nice seamless transition from the animated to the live action. Right. Something like that. That would be amazing.
Play into Sabine's art as well, right? Her painting. They could kind of build it that way. Interesting. So Woodsy is saying that the Rebels epilogue is probably the end of episode 2. We don't know when the scene takes place, and I don't believe Sabine would give up the search for Ezra. No, I don't think she would either.
Yeah.
But interestingly, yeah, I think it'll be. I don't know where that's going to, but I like what you're saying, Chris, about making live action versions, because there's a rumor that they've cast a younger Ahsoka, right? It's pure conjecture and rumor. There's Hayden Christensen has been spotted on IMDb as being in the Ahsoka series. I don't know if
I think it's been announced officially that he's in it, right?
I think so. So
I
what
think
if
we've gotten official confirmation that he's in it somehow.
Has that happened? I thought there have been rumors. Official.
I thought that one was
official rumors.
official rumors?
Like I don't know for sure, but I hope that's the case. I would think so. I mean, if you're going to do that, you're bringing him in for a little bit for the the Obi-Wan show. It only makes sense, and it would that's what everyone wants to see. Hayden's Anakin with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They want to see that. That brings it all together. Like, seeing him in seeing Anakin and Ahsoka together in animation is one thing. Seeing him in live action brings it all together. That would be, oh man, that would be so awesome.
According to the Hollywood Reporter, he is officially as a part of the cast of the Ahsoka series. There
it is.
Honestly, they haven't been wrong. So
yeah,
I would say Hollywood Reporter fits in a category I'm willing to trust. So
yeah. Yeah.
Now, someone named like Michael Less Than One had said something.
Hard to believe that one. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and look at some of the pictures that we've seen over the last week and some of the pieces from the trailer. Empire Magazine released a couple pictures. We're going to speculate irresponsibly. But again, before we do, remember, if you want to donate to the Trevor Project, which is being run by Sawyer, the Galaxy of Pride, preventing suicide in queer teens and young people, it's worth just a couple bucks. That QR code is in the bottom. And again, since we mentioned it, we're going to take a little sip of our
That's right. And Chris, you're playing catch up, but we're drinking every time we mention the Trevor Project fundraiser tonight. So
wow.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, here we go. All right. Well, we are going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dig into what we've learned and what we've seen this week from the Ahsoka series.
You want this?
I'm the only one hereabouts who has one. Saying which, how's he gonna pay for all of this?
And we are back.
That was an intense shirt ad. Like that was.
Well,
it was almost threatening. Like, buy this shirt,
like,
damn it.
The shirts are silly,
sorry,
but the advertising is very serious. Very serious. And I'll tell you what: if you buy a shirt this week, I will donate the proceeds to Trevor Project. So any money that we might make on a shirt this week.
Oh wait, what was that word you just said?
I said Trevor Project.
What is that?
That's Wawa. That's drink time. Yes.
My wife's gonna have to pour me into bed after the show's over with tonight.
Well, so as we said, and by the way, we are going to take your calls after this next segment. We're going to take a look at some of these pictures, take a look at what we saw, what we learned, talk about what we learned. Then we want to hear from you about your thoughts on the Ahsoka series, what you think is happening, what you think is coming up. We'll put the link in the chat in just a couple of minutes so that we can hear from you. But there were a number of things that came out from both Empire Magazine, and on Dave Filoni's birthday, they dropped the new another trailer, and gave us the date of August 23rd, which is, I'm looking forward to the end of August for our 4-H festival, which we show the goats in. It's my daughter's birthday. We have tickets to go see Ghost in concert, but now the 23rd is added to that list of things. That's going to be a crazy week. Ahsoka is going to drop that week. Maybe the first thing, and we can dig into pictures, we can talk, but of the things that we learned this week, let me start with this one. There was confirmation in one of the magazines or one of the articles that Baylan Skoll played by the late Ray
Mhm.
Stevenson. Such a horrible, sad,
Very sad
surprising
Yeah.
death. But this character, with his orange lightsaber, deliberately orange from what I understand, and cool medieval looking armor, is a former Jedi. What are your
Mhm.
guys' thoughts on that?
Chris, you're up.
I call complete and utter 100% BS on that.
You do. All right.
Yeah,
Go for
absolutely. And let me tell you something. Luke Skywalker is the only Jedi around. That's it. He is the only one. Everyone, they're all gone, and it's Luke. This guy is a liar and he's a fraud, and he is no former Jedi. He stole that saber from somebody, and now look, and now he's got it, and it's all orange. It's wrong. It's the wrong color.
But you say that, Chris, and I hate to actually hear you live on the show as I push my glasses up on my nose. But one of the dumb controversies we've seen online over the last week or so is the question about how many really Jedi are there still out there in existence in the whatever. And of course, it's one of those like storytelling questions that this is a story that's being told, retold, added to over the course of where are we at now, almost 47 years. When the first film was told, Obi-Wan's telling Luke, you know, that's it. They're gone. The Jedi are gone. I'm the last of my kind. And we get a little bit in Empire and we get a little more in Jedi. And that story continues to kind of build along the way. But by sheer force of numbers, population, what even we see with Ahsoka in this show we're talking about, she walked away from the Jedi Order. Like, there's Jedi, which is a religion. There's people who are force sensitive. It's a whole very, it's a very nuanced thing.
Nick, if I wanted to be some kind of apologist for the lackluster and the wonky storytelling that Filoni and his crew does, I would say something like, well, of course, there are other, force sensitive people and whatnot. Yeah, and you know what? Luke is the only Jedi in the galaxy because the rest have either left the Order or of course, left the Order, gone into hiding or something, so they don't follow the Jedi religion anymore. So of course he's the only Jedi, and he's not the only force sensitive person in the galaxy. So, if I wanted to,
Pete, if I can interject for this guy. If I can interject very quickly, Pete, can you excuse me for just a minute? Is that possible that you can help me with that?
Absolutely.
I'll be right back. You guys keep talking. I'll be right back. All right, listen. They're gone. It's just you and me, my audience, my fans, my friends. Camera 2. This is Chris's thing, right? This is, I don't care. I don't want to talk about it. Just gimme. Well, we're going to come back. We're going to take a minute. I wanted to spend some time with you, dear watcher, dear audience member, because I don't disagree with Chris. I'm not saying he's wrong. But as we're looking at this idea, how many Jedi really are there? What's going on? Chris's argument is going to be, who cares? I just want more Star Wars. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. Wait for him to say it. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But I just felt like you as the audience deserved to have a minute, the two of us alone, because I adore you. I think you're special. Those guys, they don't care as much about you as I do. And that's fine, because they're not here right now. They can't hear us. So everything's cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toast to you, the audience, by myself, because their toasts are fake. And I just like drinking. Also, Trevor Project. I mean, if I'm drinking, I'm talking about the Trevor Project. Click the link. It's not on the screen right now, but it will be in a minute, because I'm going to come back to them, act like their opinions are important, whatever. So when we get back, click the link, donate to the Trevor Project, and let's listen to Chris talk about how it doesn't matter how many Jedi are left. All he wants is more Jedi, more Star Wars. Gimme, gimme, gimme. So cheers.
What I've been saying is that headcanon is so stupid. And, the fact that people, they like, well, if it's not like that, then why am I going to... Are we back?
Yes, we are. We are still
Wait,
here.
did you go somewhere? I had to check on a thing, but I was with you the whole time. AirPods.
I
the
thought
beauty
you
of
were spacing
technology.
out, but I'm like, okay, he's doing this thing. Okay.
No, I was with you. I was listening.
Yeah.
I just had a thing.
Right.
Family. I live in a house with 6 women. It's crazy around here.
Now, I mean, if I could be serious for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. Jedi. How many are there?
Practicing Jedi, because since it's a religion and not just force sensitive people are called Jedi. There's Luke. There's Luke, but there's other people who wield the Force who may be former Jedi out there, But I mean, all in all, you guys know me. It's Star Wars. It's just gimme, throw it right in my face, and I'm good to go. I just saying.
That's weird. I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was like, you know what I love about Chris? I love that Chris is just ready for more Star Wars all the time.
Gimme.
What makes you so happy and special?
Yes, so happy.
I love Grifter Chris, but I gotta say, there are I made a video earlier this week because for some reason I wake up in the morning and as I'm drinking my coffee, I'm like, what would be cool? I'm going to talk about this Jedi situation. Even if the Empire, there were 10,000 Jedi. I can't believe we're going to this nerdy level, but hey, we're here. This is what we're doing. It's Friday night. We're drinking. We're talking Star Wars.
Jedi math.
If there were 10,000 Jedi at the end of the Clone Wars, as is the reported number, oh my God, I'm grossing myself out with how nerdy I sound right now. Even if this inept Empire that can't even shoot, their stormtroopers can't hit anything, if they were to clear out 95% of those Jedi in Order 66, that still leaves 500 Jedi at the end of the Clone Wars. Now, even if then the Inquisitors existed, so they had to hunt down the Jedi. Even Obi-Wan said, we're all but extinct. So he said all but. So there is definitely a chance that they're there. And honestly, and I think we would all agree with this if we get real for 1 second, a Jedi story is a fun freaking story. It's Star
100%.
Wars. A Jedi story is what we want. And again, it's back to the point we started at the beginning tonight, Nick. The average fan is not like, oh, wait a second, I thought that Luke was the last one, and I don't want to see any more Jedi. Honestly, the average fan is probably having a difficult time trying to figure out when all these stories are taking place. You got Rogue One, you got the Phantom Menace, you got A New Hope.
You know what they should do? They should buy the book Star Wars Timelines by a bunch of our friends.
Hello.
Amy Rickow, Clayton Sandell, Kristen Baver, and Jason Fry. And there's another guy, and I feel really bad.
There's a bunch of people that wrote that book. I don't have it yet, but I really want it.
It's so I have awesome. I have it.
All right, so let's do this. Let's keep it moving a little bit. Okay. We're talking about how many Jedi are there.
Right.
We did get some new footage. We got a 30-second trailer dropping today. Let me ask you guys this real quick.
Yeah.
I thought originally, because you mentioned August 30th, Pete, I originally thought that was what was announced. Did I imagine that August 30th was announced?
I think we assumed. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because they said August. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so the 23rd obviously is a week earlier. Gimme. It'd be great. But it's awesome. So in this 30-second trailer announcing, like you said, dropped very suavely on Dave Filoni's birthday. We get some new footage. We get some new shots. One of the things that people have been talking about is there's a shot of an Inquisitor in a forest. There's a lot of questions about who is that Inquisitor. There's people comparing the way Ezra stood with a lightsaber to the way this Inquisitor is standing with, like, Pete, I know you've got some screenshots, some images, things that we wanted to kind of just look at for a minute and dig into. Why don't you kind of drive us down that path of what we got in that trailer?
Yeah, and I thought I had the Inquisitor in here, and I'm looking at the pictures. I didn't upload it.
Well, Chris is having an issue with that, so that's probably just.
Are you all right, Chris? All right. Well, as long as we're talking about Ezra, let's start with Sabine wearing. Some people are saying it looks like wearing Ezra's clothes, with his lightsaber. I don't know if it's a creepy girlfriend situation or what's going on, but it does.
Lando wearing Han's clothes in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
I mean, at the end of Empire.
Yeah. No, I think that she's just wearing. She's an artist and she wears brightly colored everything.
That's right.
Yeah, she's just wearing orange clothes.
Not the clothes. It's that lightsaber she's holding.
Yeah, Ezra went out to the unknown regions or whatever with his clothes still on.
Correct.
We don't know
As
what
far
happens
as
when
we
a
know.
Purgle
Yeah,
takes
he-
you.
Yeah,
If
he
a
didn't go
Purgle
out there
takes-
naked. Yeah, Purgle
What,
only takes
what happens
naked
when a
people.
chess, a whatever, Lothalian and a
Yeah.
Purgle head off into deep space? I don't know what
Oof.
happens with your clothes.
Anything can happen there. And for those of you wondering what a Purgle is, in at the end of Rebels, go watch Rebels. I'm not going to
Yeah,
tell you.
please.
Go watch Rebels. But in Mandalorian, we
Hashtag
saw those
space whale.
space whales going through hyperspace. That's where Ezra disappeared to.
And
But
not
yeah.
the space whales you're thinking of from Star Trek 4. Different
Correct.
space whales.
Different space whales.
There be whales here. Yeah.
So we got that great shot. We also, it looks like I didn't upload all the pictures I took. That's all right. That's fine.
Fired.
I don't care. Interestingly, while we're on the topic of Sabine, so took her to Amanda, welcome to work. So when we saw Sabine at the end of Rebels, she had short hair, and we've seen pictures now of her with the short hair. But this is an interesting shot of her with her helmet in her Mando armor, with her hair at full length, and then at the end of Rebels, she had the short hair. So I wonder if we're going to get something a little bit before the end of Rebels, which will lead all this together.
I think this is a narrative device. This shows us the passage of time. And I think because there's one of this, when she's seemingly talking to Ahsoka on the balcony.
Yep.
And she says something about it's been a long time. Her hair is still long. But then we get the shot of her. Yeah, this shot.
Yeah.
Long hair. Then we get the shot of her again, as you said later, with the short hair. Yeah. This is Ahsoka showing back up, hey, it's time to go again. And it's not, I mean, I know there's some stuff in samurai films, there's stuff in, Chinese lore, legacy, history about cutting your hair, honor, that kind of thing. But we also get it in Rebels when Kanan cuts his hair.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
And so it's not entirely off brand for this to be some sort of ceremonial, representational thing of like, okay, I've been waiting, you're back. I'm still looking for my friend. Cut our hair. It's time to get off our butts and go.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. And maybe at the time that we saw at the end of Rebels, maybe she turns Ahsoka down at that point. Maybe she has come back.
It could go a number of ways. And it makes me think of, we've gotten this device other times. You get bearded Captain America, you get bearded James Bond, you get, these characters who have been away for a minute and, it's time to get back in the game. It's time to, come back. I'll tell you this much. Mandalorian helmets don't go on and off nearly as easily with long past your shoulders hair than they do with a bob and a something else. There's no magic.
Are you speaking from experience, Nick?
Mando helmet. Well, I'm right on the edge of it. I'm not quite there yet, but yeah, Mando helmet hair magic is not yet a thing that I'm aware of. That may be our T-shirt. Mando helmet hair magic.
Boom! There it is.
What was it? Mando helmet hair magic.
Mando helmet hair magic.
Woo!
All right. Look, if I was gonna be on a plane on Monday morning, I would. I'd have it up Monday. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. You never know. Mando helmet hair magic. Write that down.
Also,
we're gonna take.
We got to get a permission from Eric to use Jediometry because
Jediometry.
the numbers.
Numbers.
And what it is it's a Mando doing the Charlie Day thing from Always Sunny, but it's a Mando in the helmet with the hands on his head and then just like numbers everywhere.
It could happen.
We're really good at this, guys. I'm just letting you know.
I'm gonna. You won't see me after the break because I'll be working on t-shirts. So, hey. So we are going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from you about how excited you might be about what we saw this week. And before we go, though, remember we have the QR code in the lower right-hand corner here. You can donate to Galaxy of Pride to support the Trevor Project. So if you're up to it, feel free to donate. And we said Trevor Project, which means that we are taking yet another drink from our glasses here. or our plastic Wawa bottles. We're going to be right back in just a minute with your calls, talking about Mando, your 2-minute takes. Not Mando, Ahsoka. Well, you talk about Mando. I don't care what you talk about, as long as it's Star Wars. And even if it's not Star Wars, let's go crazy. You got 2 minutes. Do with it what you want. All right, we'll be right back after these messages. And we are back. We are talking about Ahsoka. We're talking about the trailer. We're talking about the Empire pictures. We're talking about really bad speculation. We're talking about really good speculation. We're talking about August 23rd, guys. That's really not that far away. It's like, let me see, August, July. It's like, it's 2 months away. Not even 3 months, whatever. It's close. It's closer than we think. It's before our kids go back to school. That's all I know. Shall we take our first caller?
I think it sounds like an excellent idea.
Who's it going to be?
Who's it going to be? Let's see.
Oh, I know.
Here we go.
Hello there.
And he's so ready for it. Eric.
Somehow Kyle Ripken has returned.
Oh, yes. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be back. And I was thinking about your discussion about who survived Order 66 and all that. I don't have a problem with so many survivors. My pet peeve is that I'm like, can we have a Jedi survivor, someone that survived that time, who is not from the Coruscant temple?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, there's other temples in the galaxy. And I'm just like, there has to be way more Jedi than just in Coruscant. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, but every time we hear about someone surviving Order 66, it is on that one night the Coruscant the explosion. And I was thinking about how we were talking about ships last time, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
We were talking about, how does this work? And I feel like sometimes the way that they try to explain things is like, it's too much for me. Like, I understand your explanation, but I'm just like, I don't think it's the best you could do. And I have a great example of this. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Luke is
a beast?
No. No, Luke is a horny simp for his sister, right? New Hope.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yes, I'm getting there. Okay. And obviously they kiss in the next movie, right?
Yeah.
And it's very clear that he has affectionate feelings. Obviously, George Lucas had no idea he was going to retcon them to be brother and sister, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And in Return of the Jedi, she says, somehow I've always known.
Oh, right.
So you're telling me that you were okay with kissing your brother?
Oh,
You knew. You knew. The Force told you. And then when we get Revenge of the Sith and we see like both of them are born, then Mama Padme dies. Well, where you had to have a book, there's someone explaining, how is she able to remember her mother? Who's like, it was the Force. And just like, of course it was.
Well, yeah.
I'm just like, it's just trying to cover up the mismanaged writing of George Lucas. No, don't get me wrong. I love this man, but it was not well planned out. Nor was the incest. He stumbled ass backwards into incest because in the book we have them like getting real close. We have them kiss multiple times in the comics and in Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Thank God. That was close. Oh my gosh.
We got out of that one just in time, didn't we?
It's about to get freaky deaky up in here.
It's about to get real Mississippi up in this.
I feel like, Eric, you're making a case for incest being okay, and I'm a little worried.
I'm not making a case for incest being okay.
I know.
I'm like, if you like in fiction, who cares? Obviously, real life, no.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Well, dude, thank you for stopping. Thanks. We were gonna give you and Angry a hard time about not coming to our Philadelphia thing and saying that your streak was over.
Traverse the states and come see us.
But no, we are really glad you're here, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, and may the force be with you, dude.
Zillow gang.
Woodsy saying Lucas is ahead of his time. If you look at the top categories on the hub, we'll call it the hub. Oh man, hey, whatever. I'm just theories or theories.
Boats be floating, man. Boats be floating.
What if she said that? Yeah, she may have felt it for a while. Like always can be any kind of stretch of time, And we didn't see like after Luke walked away, and then like she's hugging Han at the end when he almost like blew her off, like whatever, done with you, woman. And then like they hugged, and what if she was like, oh, and she just remembered like right then, like, oh yeah, I did that thing. We'll have to talk about that later. Like that could have been a talk.
No.
Oh man,
there should be a comic about that.
I'm looking at the numbers. We lost like 30% of the people watching when we this. We
got to bring ourselves up.
We got to bring ourselves back. Well, let's keep with the trend of the people who are battling to stay on target, if you will, and let's bring in our next guest.
Greetings, Exalted One.
Now, before we get started, Angry Tasty Cakes, we got to let you know, we got to let everybody know watching. We're bringing back the 2 minutes for everybody, and it's no offense, no offense to anybody. It's just we have to control things.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. External family pressure sometimes says, "Why does your show take so long?" we're trying to streamline here. A little bit of family.
And then when we say Angry Tasty Cakes, they go, "Who? What?
What are you even talking? I think we need to get you actual help."
Sorry,
but that's quite all right. I'll start the clock in a minute, but I just got to know how you doing.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
Limited run games finally shipped the KOTOR master editions finally 2 years later.
Sweet.
Oh, so, the remasters?
Nice. Yeah. No, they took the out of print version, so like the OG Xbox and PC versions, and then they reprinted them in physical format.
Oh wow.
And 2 years ago they took pre-orders. Yesterday and the day before they finally started shipping.
Time. Are you playing
fancy packaging and the whole deal?
Oh yeah, no, I got the master edition and everything. I was not going to,
Awesome.
So.
Well, dude, I'm gonna hit the clock and let's get you going. Ready?
Actually, hold on, Pete. Before you hit the clock.
Yes.
Executive privilege.
Okay.
Show host privilege.
Okay.
And really, I don't know why I'm taking the time to pull us over for this, because it's going to make me look like a bad Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Talking about KOTOR, I know how steeped it is, how revered it is, how important it is, how everybody loves it.
Yes.
My only KOTOR playing experience is playing it on my iPhone within the last year and a half. And I got to the part where I'm on Dantooine and I got attacked by the dogs, and I gave up because I was like, I can't do this. That's the only time I've ever played it.
Hey,
You have to get past Dantooine. Once you get past Dantooine, the game goes from 0 to 100 in like 2.5 seconds.
But I have to.
You're going to be there
I
for
have
a
to
minute.
get connected up to it in some better way than my phone because that wasn't.
Do you have a Switch?
I have a PS4.
You're dead to me.
SOL. That's
So-
it. Sorry, pal.
No,
All right,
honestly,
back to that clock before he makes me look bad.
yeah, the Ahsoka news. I'm really, really excited about Shin Hati's character.
Yeah.
I love Ray Stevenson, but I'm not as interested in Balin's Skull as I am his apprentice. I think it's because for everything that I've seen so far with her, she looks unhinged.
Yeah.
Like completely unhinged, like detached from everything. Like that's my target, I'm gonna kill it kind of thing. Not like she has any moral compass. And
that's the Ivana Sakno character.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, in for that.
Yeah, and for me, I think it comes down to the whole thing. Like with Maul as a dark side character, he had like an agenda. He had an objective, right? With Palpatine, there was always an agenda and an objective. With her, though, it seems like there's nothing there. Like she's completely blanked, unhinged. She's just in it for the violence. So far, with like everything we've seen, like with her facial expression and everything, like there's nothing there but the carnage.
Right.
That she's causing. And I'm so in for it because I want to know more about her than Balin's Skull. And I've caught some heat for that, but I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but
yeah, that's fine.
Kind of where I'm at. But
Chris,
yeah, I'm also just really overall excited to see how this is going to play out because like I had a theory that in the second episode of Mando, when you see the Purgles, that was actually Ezra coming back. They like conjoined the two.
Could be.
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
I thought that would have been kind of cool. Why would they show Purgles at that exact moment? You know. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna keep it simple.
Chris,
that's
okay. Looks like you were having a question or a comment to that.
Well, I want to say something about KOTOR. I played Angry Taste of Cakes. I played number 2 first, and then I played number 1. And I still loved it immensely.
I like
the look of disappointment in this man's face right now.
No. Now wait a minute. Okay, all right, hold on. I liked Nihilus better than Malik as a villain. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. He's got a point. Okay.
No, I didn't like refuse to. I just never played him, and then I just grabbed this one. I grabbed number 2. I was like, I'm just gonna play this, and I loved it. Then when I played number 1, I was like, it was cool seeing like the Jedi Enclave like not in shambles, that sort of thing. So it was cool. It was I like that. And plus, it's Star Wars. I mean, we started in the middle of the story.
Yeah, and this was before, galaxy eater, planet destroying super weapons. They just had a weapon that ate a star. Who cares? Yeah. So man, it's fun.
Yes.
Well, you got to finish it.
Yeah, Nick.
Angry. We're gonna let you go.
That's fine.
I
told you.
I think I do want to go back though and watch some of the earlier episodes of Force Connect because I want to see that beard grow.
I was literally thinking earlier. He's in resplendent beard mode right
now. He's gotten past
the
the awkward stage with the beard, and it is like
that beard is living its best life.
I just started playing Diablo 4, and you look like my character, and I like.
Are you a druid?
No, I'm a. When I play those games, I just run in with a sword and start killing things.
You're a barbarian. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a necromancer right now, so
I don't have the patience to do that. I'm not. I don't have the dexterity.
Listen, I gave up Diablo to be here, so I'm just saying,
well, we appreciate it.
We appreciate
always,
it. And we'll. I actually honestly hit that by accident, but he's got Diablo. I'm actually thinking the same thing. I'm like, if we could just get done, I could just get over there and get back to playing it. But
yeah, for me, Street Fighter 6 is calling me right now.
Yeah, you guys were playing that the other night on Pro Action, right?
Yeah. Broken I can't.
I played the demo of it, Chris.
Did you like it?
It was fine. I mean, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It was pretty limiting, the demo. I mean, that makes sense because it's the demo. They're trying to get you to buy it.
Yeah.
It went through the fight tutorial, and then it was basically like fight this one same guy, over and over again. I was like, cool, I get it. Like, I will say, I've really
and like fight whoever you want.
Well, and I've really enjoyed the memes, especially having watched you and Mike play it on Tuesday night, because Mike's character has the microwave head. And somebody did a thing on TikTok of a guy just randomly walking down an alley and a person walking past him with a microwave for a head and starting to fight it. And I was like, wait, I know what that is. It made sense.
Hey, we have one more caller who looks like he's wandering the halls of a hotel room. I want to bring him in before we shut the show down for the night, but let's bring him in, Nick.
Oh, thank the force! Come here, you little womp rat!
Yo,
there he is.
Yo,
Walio.
peoples, beautiful peoples,
Beautiful
What's up,
people,
brother.
Yeah, I'm walking around my
seriously,
hotel.
are you? Yeah, that's what I figured. It looks like you're walking around a hotel.
He's like waking people up
Yeah,
as he
I'm
walks
at-
by
I'm in
their rooms.
Louisville. I know, right? People are like, this guy's in the hallway talking about Star Wars. Who's
Can
this
you randomly knock on somebody's door and ask them who their favorite Star Wars character is?
I'll tell you what I
not
won't
Zoom.
be doing is ask them about no damn incest. I ain't gonna ask them about that. I promise you that.
Dude, if
Jesus
anybody,
Christ.
I mean, that accent, it's
He's in Kentucky and he's from Alabama. There's not a chance in hell he's asking that question.
What did I
it's
call
he's
into
probably
that?
walking by it in this hotel, for God's sake.
Ay, ay, ay. So, my quick opinion on the Ahsoka stuff. I haven't seen any of the new trailer. I've been bait and hooked so many times by Star Wars trailers that I tend to gravitate away from them now because it's 2 minutes of fan service, and then when you watch the show, none of that happens.
He's not wrong.
Obi-Wan played Duel of the Fates, and everybody lost their mind. Never even sniffed it in the show. Mando had Grogu tossing stuff around. Oh my God, Grogu's going to be a badass. Nope, he threw one thing around in 10 episodes. So okay, that's cool. So I'm not getting bait and hooked by the Star Wars trailers anymore. I'm just pumped as hell that it's coming. I was talking to my buddy Chad about this the other day, and I said, I get why there's a gap between Mando and Ahsoka, but why couldn't they put Bad Batch in between so we didn't have to go 4 months with nothing? Nothing, I said.
Yeah, that would have been. I would have been totally down with that. I mean, imagine that, like 52 straight weeks of Star Wars.
Where's the problem? I fail to see an issue with that.
I believe the phrase is gimme.
Gimme. Kylo Ren said it best when he went, more. That's kind of how I feel.
Love it. Love
Easy,
it.
buddy.
I don't know
Anyway,
what the horror
I'm pumped
movie.
about the Ahsoka trailer. Love it. I can't wait.
How pumped are you?
Not the trailer.
How pumped are you,
Show.
Jeff?
Pumped. I'm so pumped that these people
Like
in
this
the hotel
pump?
room going, it's 10 o'clock
This
at night.
pump?
Why is this guy screaming in the hallway?
How pumped like this? That pump?
Oh,
Like that?
Like big Papa Pump, Chris. That's how pumped I am. Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Bones all wrong.
Well,
that's all
dude.
I had to say. I got to go find some ice for our ice bucket because apparently, Hotel Louisville, you have to.
You
have
walked
a
by 7
galactic
ice
star.
machines, man. You walked by
There
like
are
7 ice machines. I saw them.
No,
Jeff's getting
no,
his
they're all,
steps in for the
it's all
day.
mirage. There's no ice machine.
It's all mirage.
Well, Jeff, thank you for
It's a bait
joining
and
us
hook.
from.
You see, Chris? Even ice machines are bait and hooking you.
Boring conversation anyway.
Just drop the hammer.
Hey, the cool thing about one of the fun things about Jeff is he's one of the few people that's actually hung out with Nick like in person on a regular basis. I've gotten to hang out with Chris in Philly, but Jeff and Nick
Jeff and I
actually
live
are
in the same
close,
town,
close enough to have drinks together on a regular basis.
Jeff was at my house last Saturday night, hanging out on my back porch.
Were you there?
Yep. That's weird. My family
What the
was
hell are you
gone.
doing here?
I wasn't here, but Jeff was here. I haven't figured it out yet, but apparently it happened.
Excellent. Well, guys, this was a jam-packed show. I don't think we got into half the Ahsoka stuff we wanted to, but that's okay. That's all right. We are going to be taking off next week. We got a whole bunch of things going on. Unless, Chris, are you going to? I know we're putting you on the spot right now. We may or may not be here. I can tell you the one thing for sure is
nobody wants to hear me talk for a whole hour. I can't. Come on.
If you want to hear Nick talk, or Chris talk, say something in the chat right now and shame him into running the show by himself next week with a special guest.
Don't turn this chat into Twitter.
Oh, see, we're already here. Angry wants it.
All right, Angry wants it. Yeah.
Pete, Chris gets a guest host. Chris and somebody of his.
How about Chris and Angry Tasty Cakes next week?
Ooh.
That could be the nerdiest Force.
Eric's in for some shame. Hashtag let Chris speak.
Well, hey, JD wants it. So yeah, I think all right. So Chris will be on next week by himself, maybe with Angry Tasty Cakes, something. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Anyway, what's going on with Bro Axiom this week, my friend?
Well, let's see. We have a new Star Bros episode that just came out a couple days ago, and
oh yeah, we got music now.
And so we have a new Star Bros episode. We've got two new Star Wars comics next week. Darth Vader and Sana Staros, and I think this is the last issue of the Sana book, and it was so good. So we've got that. Bro Axiom Gaming, and I think on Tuesday night they're doing God of War. So we got that, and of course this Sunday night, live 9 p.m. on the Bro Axiom channel, we have Shooting the Voodoo. We're going to be talking about Across the Spider-Verse, or they're going to be talking about Across the Spider-Verse, and so much more. And of course, it's going to go off the rails in glorious fashion. It wouldn't be Shooting the Voodoo if it didn't.
Absolutely. Nick Trevor Project, have a drink.
100%. Click the QR code in the bottom right corner of our screen to go donate and support the Trevor Project.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friend Sawyerism, who is heading up a project trying to get more attention for that cause, which is very worthy of your dollars. Very, important to support LGBTQ young people who are dealing with really difficult times in a country that seems and feels very hostile towards who they are as human beings, which is not fair. So support Trevor Project, click the link. And if you're watching right now, take another drink, because we just said Trevor Project.
Also, around the galaxy this week, we are dropping W. Earl Brown on Thursday.
Yes.
We were going to drop it this week. We got editing behind on all kinds of stuff. And so the W. Earl Brown episode will drop this Thursday. You are not going to want to miss it. We will not tell you the story here now, but there's a story about Deadwood in space that just made the entire conversation worthwhile for Nick and I. It was like, honestly, it was like if you were going to tell us a story, that was the one we wanted to hear, and it was fantastic. And W. Earl Brown is just such an interesting dude. Cool guy. Had so much fun with him. You can be part of our conversations when we do those one-on-one interviews or one-on-two interviews, because it's usually Nick and I, and we have some on the books coming up. Join the SSW Network by checking out our Patreon program, patreon.com/the SSW Network, or just go to the SSWnetwork.com and find on the website just the link to join SSW. And I think that's, oh, you know what? I didn't do a graphic on this, but I'm going to throw this out here. Nick doesn't even know I'm doing this. If you're a patron, starting at the end of this month, the last episode of Force Connect every month, for patrons only, we will be giving, I'm going to call it Patreon Pops. And I'm going to draw a name from one of our patrons every single month to win a Star Wars Funko Pop. So,
trying to get rid of that collection.
This is the best way to unload somebody's basement I've ever heard of in my life.
No, I'm not giving away mine. I will go to my local GameStop and purchase, or better yet, I will contact my local Chris Ryans, and I will buy one from Chris, and we will ship to one of our patrons. So become a patron. We will draw. You have a chance to, not only are you going to get stickers, and be part of our conversations when we do our interviews. But you're going to have a shot to win a Star Wars Pop once a month. On our last Force Connect show of every single month, we will draw one there. Does it sound good to you, Nick? Can we do that?
Sounds amazing.
All
I have
right.
other ideas, but I don't want to just throw them out.
I have many pops, so you're flush.
Yeah. We're not necessarily saying they're the $95 collectible versions. They could be the ones that are like in the clearance bin, but you know what? It's free, so just have some fun with it. But anything else?
But what you can't have is the Nick Milky Funko Pop, which is this Obi-Wan Kenobi right here.
I mean, frighteningly like you. It is.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Well,
with much gratitude, yes, you did.
With that, let's shut it down for this week on Force Connect. Nick, may the Force be with you.
Always, and support.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.